Hi, intro. This video is for the Perspective Lab on one-point perspective. One-point perspective is a system of creating deep space on a two-dimensional surface. So the two-dimensional surface is your paper, and you're going to be working in your sketchbook. These are the instructions that you are to follow to complete your pages. This video is for page 1, where you'll be drawing 8 boxes in space. I'm going to show you how to create each of the 4 boxes, and it's going to be your job to create a second set of each of the boxes that I'll demonstrate in this video. So in the end, you should have 2 boxes that sit below the horizon line, 2 which are above the horizon line, 2 which are above and below the horizon line, and 2 boxes that are on the horizon line. And you're going to need to label each of those different places: the horizon line, the vanishing point, the foreground, and the background of your drawings. So now you have your paper, and you should have your sketchbook in front of you or a piece of paper that you can glue in later. Remember that you need to keep a place for your page label and to put the definition of perspective line in. You're going to need a really good pencil to work with. You need an eraser. If you're in the classroom, you can use the square or the rectangle templates that I have, and you're going to need a straight edge or a ruler. To start out with perspective, you always want to start with your horizon line. And the horizon line is that line in space that we see when we're looking outside that usually is where the earth and the sky meet. So this, everything below here is the earth, and everything up this way will be our sky. And this is called the horizon line. And it represents where our eye is, or where our viewpoint is. We also need a vanishing point, so put a dot in the middle of your paper. And the vanishing point is where everything is going to converge in perspective, and this helps us to create that illusion of deep space, and that everything is converging into one place and everything will fit together. It is very important that you use the vanishing point throughout the drawing so that it all fits together correctly. Do not draw this part, but this is basically where you are standing. You are right here in space. This is you. And your eye is going directly this way toward the vanishing point, and everything to this way is to your left, and this is to your right. Everything above the line is above your head, and everything below the line is below your eyesight. So just keep that in mind as we are drawing. And as we're drawing, remember to start and stop the video as you need so that you can keep up. So to start out with boxes A, you're going to put a box on the ground. This is box A. And you need that box on the ground. So draw your box on the ground. And then you're going to create converging lines that go to the vanishing point. And these lines need to be on the sides of the box, which are the closest to the vanishing point. Each of our boxes are solid in space, and we cannot see through them. So keep that in mind as well. So we're going to take our straight edges and we're going to put it from the point on the side that's closest to the vanishing point and to the vanishing point. And we're going to draw these lines lightly and going back to the vanishing point. And we're going to do that one. We're going to do it again twice. And then we will draw on the third side. And this represents the side of the box which we would see, or the side, these are buildings that we would see. And we're drawing all three because remember, this is below our viewpoint. So we would see the top of the box here and we would see the side of the box there. Because remember, we're standing right here. And that this is where our eyes go to. This is where our eyes view is. Once you have your converging lines on the side of your box, you need to create lines which are parallel to the front of the box. So my trick is to always put my ruler on the side of the box that I'm working on, and then I move it straight over and make sure that this line is straight up and down and parallel to the front of the box. These two must be parallel to each other according to the illusion to work. And then on the top, put the ruler on the top of the box and move it straight up and draw your line straight across going the other direction. So now you should see that you have a box that's sitting on the ground in space. The last step of perspective is to erase all of the lines in the back that you don't need. And going forward, I'm not going to draw the full line because I want to keep my paper nice and neat. And you can also get in the same practice of not drawing the full line, just making sure that your ruler goes from the side of the box to the vanishing point. So now you see box A on your rubric. This is your box which sits below the horizon line. Now for box B, draw a rectangle or a square that's in the sky above the horizon line. And if you remember correctly, that you're drawing the lines from the corners, which are closest to the vanishing point. So I'm putting my ruler on the corners and I'm figuring out how far down I want my box to go. And I'm going to go from each of those edges to the vanishing point. And notice how I'm not drawing the whole line because again, we're going to be masters and we're not going to mess up our paper. But we do want to make sure that these are going from the vanishing point to the sides of our box, to the edges of our box. Now, what do we do next? We put our ruler on the line on the bottom of the box. And this time we're going straight down because this box is above our viewpoint. And we're going to draw the parallel line across this way. And same thing on the other side, ruler on the edge, move your ruler straight over so that it's parallel to the front. These must be parallel to each other and line straight up and down. Those parallel lines are very important in order to create that illusion that this box is correctly drawn in space. And then last step is to erase. So box B, you should have a box in the sky, floating in the sky. And this time you see below the box and the side on the right side of it because this box is above your head in space. Our box C is to do a box which is above and below the horizon line. And that means that we're going to draw our square or a rectangle so that the top and the bottom sit above and below our horizon line. Now think about how many converging lines do you need for this box? If you guessed 2, you are correct. So we're going to go from the vanishing point to the sides that are closest to the vanishing point. And I'm going from the corner here, figuring out how far back I want my building to be, and drawing just that much. And then on the top, from the corner of the box to the vanishing point, and I'm drawing just what I need and stopping there. And on the side here, remember, line must be parallel to the side of the box. Move the ruler straight over and draw your line parallel to the front of the box. Now think about, what do you need to erase? You need to erase any parts of the converging lines which are extra. You also need to erase where the horizon line is going through the box, because remember, we already established that our boxes are all solid. So this is box C, where our boxes go above and below the horizon line. Now for D, our box needs to sit on the horizon line. So I'm going to put a box here on the horizon line, just like this. This is box D. Now, what kind of converging line would this one have? If you guess that you're only drawing one, then you are correct. We're going to go from the side, which is closest to the vanishing point, and go from that corner down to the vanishing point as far back as we want it to be. And then, of course, our parallel line in the back, parallel on the line, straight over, and straight up and down, so it's parallel to the front. And then this is a building that is way, way far back in space. It's behind this building, it's behind that building, it's behind this building. It's sitting up on the horizon line farther back, but it is still where we could see it, where it's on our side, so we would still see a little bit of the side of the building there. So now what you need to do is, on the opposite side of the paper, on this side of your page, draw one more of each of these boxes, A, B, C, and D, on your own. If you drew on both sides of the paper, then just put another one on this side, okay? If your boxes are overlapping, just make sure that you draw them correctly in space, and that will be fine, and you figure out which ones are in the front and which ones are in the back. You also need to make sure that you've labeled where the horizon line is, your vanishing point, the foreground. Box A is in the foreground, meaning that it's the closest to us. And then where the background is, box D would be in the background, meaning that it's furthest back in space. Everything in the middle, like box C, would be what's called middle ground. All right, you are ready. If you need to, watch the video again or try to tackle boxes A, B, C, and D on your own.